honestly don't think anyone can say that I'm not stylish because the sweatpants dress combo is really cute. There's a gnat in here. Gross. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Preparing for an Interview. My name is Taylor. If you have never seen my face before, I'm a college student and young professional, and I make videos all about young professional life. Not only have I taken a lot of courses and gotten a lot of guidance on what to do to prepare for an interview, but I also have a lot of hands-on experience. So I'm going to share with you guys what I personally do to prepare for an interview to land that job or ace that interview. Can't always land the job, but you can always ace the interview. You really have to consider, is your interview over the phone, over Zoom, or in person? Because you will prepare the same way, but if it's on the phone, it's going to be the easiest to prepare because you can read your answers that you have prepared, but otherwise you have to memorize it and also be able to like say it conversationally. Preparing for an interview includes a lot of research, a lot of planning, and also maybe a little bit of a learning curve. If there's something on the job description that you don't know how to do, don't go into the interview saying, oh, I can learn. You need to go and teach yourself a little bit about it before the interview so that you're able to say something relevant versus just saying, oh, I'm a quick learner, because the odds are somebody else that got the interview knows how to do that thing. Okay, so something that I always do right off the bat is I prepare my tell me about yourself speech. This should be different for every single interview. You should not be winging it and just blurting out your experience. You need to go through the job description. You're gonna go through the job description and make sure that in your about me, you touch base on all of the big requirements and roles and functions of the job. I just had 2 interviews for a job that I'm currently waiting on to see if I got the job or not, but I had 2 interviews and they were literally like, I got an email Tuesday night for an interview on Wednesday, and then they said, okay, we'll get back to you tonight or tomorrow. Then they got back to me that night, and then the next morning I had an interview. So it was very bang, 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 had to get my stuff together. So the thing that you want to do with your about me, like this is the kind of meat that will guide your conversation for the whole interview. So when you're forming your about me, there are 4 key things that you really want to have in there. So it's the W-A-E-T or W-E-A-T, it doesn't really matter. So there's the who you are, your experience and attributes, which kind of switch off of each other, and then tie it into the role or the company or both. So starting off with who you are. If you are already a professional in the field, if you are out of college already, you're gonna say, I am a graphic designer, I am a marketing professional, I am an accountant, something like that. On the flip side, you could also say, I'm very passionate about XYZ. So I first say my school, my major, my minor, if it's relevant, and then I say what I'm passionate about. And then I say, and I really have a passion for all things digital marketing related, because that covers all my bases. I want to go into digital marketing either whether it be strategy, content management, content creation, content lead, something along those lines. So I make sure to let them know that I am not so niche down into one specific thing. If this job is really like perfect for you, like for example, I was interviewing for a social media position, and I say I really have had a passion for social media for as long as I can remember. You're going to talk about your relevant experience and your attributes. Don't talk about all of your experience. Like if your experience overlaps, like for example, so I was the vice president of public relations for my sorority, so I managed all of our social medias. I also had a job as a social media manager with another company, but it's the exact same job functions. I wasn't providing any more proof of what I could do by listing both of them, so I just put the one that's more impressive or the one that I felt I got more experience from. I literally made a note on my phone because my first interview was on the phone. So I was able to just read this if you can read in a conversational tone. If you can't read in a conversational tone, maybe you should memorize it. Memorize your bullet points anyways. But then I went into my current role next. So if you don't have a current role, just put your most recent role or your most relevant role. You know, if what you're applying for is not as relevant to your current role, make sure you choose the things that are relevant. So then I go on about my experience, and I didn't just babble on about everything I do, because in a job you do a ton of different things. I only talked about the things that are relevant to the job posting. So for example, they said must be able to work in a creative team, or if you have had experience in a creative team, that's a plus. So from the get-go, I say I work in a collaborative, very diversified team, and they want you to be able to multitask a lot. So I say I generally work on 3+ projects at once. And then they also had some things on their website and the job listing about product development, things like that. So I talked a little bit about what I did with product development. When you're presenting this, you don't want to make it sound like a list. You want to make it sound like a story. So don't make it sound like you're going through and ticking off each thing in the job posting. Make it flow naturally, as if it just so happens that you are the perfect candidate, you have all the right experience. Don't act like you did it on purpose. I have 2 other big pieces of experience that I want to share with them, so I present it but in a different way. So I show when I was vice president of public relations, I managed 20 individuals below me and a budget of over $15,000. It's great to use numbers. Numbers are impressive. And then I go on and I say, I grew our following and engagement by over 30%, which is something that I'm very proud of. You know, take pride in your work. Let them know that you like what you do. The listing also said you will be managing XYZ platforms. So I make sure in my About Me to say that I said I managed all of our social media channels and created content for Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and our website. So I let them know that I have experience in all of the platforms that they are looking for, and then some. This is a marketing firm that I'm applying for, so I always talk about YouTube because for some reason, YouTube is one of the most impressive, not for some reason. I know why YouTube is the most impressive thing on my resume, one of the most impressive things on my resume, but it is and is not professional experience, but I would never leave it out because it's something that people are impressed with. It's something that sets me apart, and I have really large numbers to show. So I say I'm a content creator on YouTube, but I don't take a lot of time on it. I just say I'm a content creator, I create this kind of content, and then I say I have amassed over 4.5 million views and 37,000 subscribers. So I say that, those big numbers, they're like, oh, wow, you know, and it shows that I can do what they want me to do. And then I say, I also got to create promotional content for all of these brands. I don't list all of the brands, I just list the most impressive ones that they might have heard of before. I created content for dozens of brands, including that you may have heard of. So throughout there's my most relevant experience, and I tie in my attributes with that. You don't have to outright say, I have this attribute. But by saying I managed this team, that means you have management and leadership qualities. By saying I do 3+ projects at once, that shows that you can time manage and you can juggle multiple projects and you can meet deadlines, things like that. So you don't have to outright say your qualities, which you can. You could say I have leadership experience doing XYZ. I have time management experience doing XYZ. Or you can say I had a project where I did XYZ and it really allowed me to grow in my time management qualities, something along those lines. The next part, tie in to the position or the company. Don't just say, and I think that I would fit really good in this role. You need to do some research, honey. First, you're gonna obviously scour the posting. Make sure you have everything under your belt from the posting. The LinkedIn accounts that they have. Look at their LinkedIn accounts, see what their LinkedIn accounts are posting. Maybe it's use cases, maybe it's accomplishments, etc., things they're working on. Make sure you know the current events of the company, and then look at their website and see what their values are. Usually you can see if you click on the careers tab on their website, it will list their values, it will talk about the workplace environment, and will just give you a little bit more idea of what the company's all about. But also look at their website as a whole, see what they really focus on, their mission statement, etc., and like really research until you feel like you could talk to somebody else about all of these things. And then the last part is looking at their Glassdoor reviews, which is something that you want to do anyways to make sure this is a company you even work for. If the company has really crappy reviews on Glassdoor, you might not want to work for them. but it will just give you a little bit more insight to the company, which we'll talk about a little bit after. But when you're tying in, so something I noticed, this is perfect. So in my job currently at Nokia, we focus all on customer centricity and the end consumer and building products and content for the end consumer with the end consumer in mind, and end-to-end solutions, which is pretty self-explanatory. And on their website, they have a lot of use cases talking about customer centricity and end-to-end solutions. So in my tie-in, this is exactly what I said. I said, something that I've learned through all of my experience, and now especially working with product and demo development at Nokia, is the importance of customer centricity and offering end-to-end solutions. And through my research, I can see the emphasis on these elements and I think that my experience would mold into the company and this position and vice versa very well. It doesn't have to be that deep. You just say, really say something that you think will impress them. Say something relevant, don't lie. I wouldn't lie and say that I understand customer centricity if I didn't. I do it a lot right now. So find something that really dings with you and you're like, oh, I understand that. I care about that. And do that in your tie-in. Now, there are a couple other things you want to do when you are preparing for the interview. So you need to prepare certain questions. The about me is the most important part in my opinion, but you need to have some common interview questions prepared so you can search common interview questions, or if you're in a particular field, for instance, I'm in marketing, you could search frequent marketing questions, interview questions, or maybe you're in accounting or tech, frequent tech interview questions, frequent software interview questions, things like that, just so that you're not caught off guard in any way. And just practice talking to yourself. I will talk in the shower for like an hour plus, just saying my about me over and over, answering questions, looking at myself in the mirror, pretending like I'm in the interview, because if you aren't practicing it out loud, you're not going to do it as well when the time comes. So practice it out loud. And I always will tell my friends, as my roommates are probably sick of hearing about my experience. So one question that you can easily get stumped on is, why do you want to work for the company? So that is where that research is going to come in handy, and have this question prepared. A lot of times I usually will start off with, well, first, I say when I am applying for a job, I always take the time to look at your website, look at your LinkedIn, look at your Glassdoor reviews to really solidify, okay, is this a company I want to work for? And through my research, I found XYZ. I was impressed by XYZ. So for instance, for the marketing firm, I'd say I am really impressed with your roster and the work you have done thus far. And in my research, I found that our values align a lot. And then you want to very casually talk about their values. Don't say it like you're literally reading their values off. Don't do all of them. If there's 6 values, maybe choose 2 or 3. So for instance, I would say innovation and constantly pushing boundaries is really important to me, and holding my coworkers and myself accountable is really important to me, and that really attracted me to your company. So values is great. Bringing in history is great. Bringing in current events that they have posted about. For instance, this company I was applying for, they recently acquired another company. So I didn't bring this up in the interview, but I could have, just to show that you have been paying attention, that you did your research, that you care. And that is an easy one to get stumped on if you don't do your research. If they ask you, why do you want to work for us? And you just say, oh, I really love your company. Okay, it's not impressive. Some of the other things that you should have in mind is your biggest strengths, your biggest weaknesses, your biggest accomplishment. Those are the ones that I get asked a lot. Have some things like that prepared. Do your research of general questions, and they can intertwine. If you have something prepared in your about me, and say every once in a while they won't ask you about me. 9 out of 10 times they will say, okay, tell me about yourself. But sometimes they won't, especially if it's a short interview. So be prepared to interweave those important things that you're going to say in your about me into your other questions. And it's very easy to do. Just practice with yourself talking and know the little scripts that you have with yourself. So next, you will want to stalk the people that you are going to be interviewing with if you get told who you're interviewing with, which now it's especially easy with like Zoom. With the majority of interviews being on Zoom, you get the Zoom invite to your email and you can see the other people that are invited. So look them up on LinkedIn. And this does 3 things really. So first you're gonna see where they went to school, how long they've been with the company, some of their accomplishments, anything that might connect you to them. Something like, if you have gone through sorority recruitment, you really are prepared for anything, because what they teach you in sorority recruitment is to find the thing that makes someone tick and then get them to talk about it. Because people remember how you feel, how you made them feel versus what you said. So if you can find something that relates you to this person that you can bring up or get them to bring up, it's gonna make them remember you better. Look through, see if there's anything. If there isn't, it's not that big of a deal. Don't fret, that's not necessary to have, but it always helps to have a connection. For instance, I had an interview for an internship that actually got canceled because of Corona, but I'm in Kappa Delta and the girl's daughter was in Kappa Delta. So that was like a perfect connection. I was like, oh, no way, that's so awesome, da-da-da. So she will always remember me because I'm sisters with her daughter. See what they're interested in, maybe look them up on Twitter as well, just to see what they're talking about, what they're interested in, what their experience is, if there's something you can make a connection with them. And also something for me that I feel like it does is it makes me really comfortable to know who I'm gonna be talking to. It makes me feel a little bit more at ease to know who to expect. Also, if you aren't viewing in private mode on LinkedIn, which I don't, I let people know that I'm looking at their profile, they will get a notification that you viewed their profile. So first, I think that shows that you care, that you are doing your research for the interview. And second, in turn, they are likely going to view your LinkedIn. And if you have made your LinkedIn pop in, which, by the way, I don't have a video now, but like eventually there will be a card here of LinkedIn tips, mistakes you're making, etc. Because LinkedIn is actually my favorite social media platform and I use it a lot. So make sure your LinkedIn is poppin' with your portfolio, your about me, your accomplishments, etc. So they're gonna look at your profile and they're gonna have an idea already before the interview of who you are. Or maybe they'll look at it after the interview and they'll get more information. The last step to preparing for an interview, especially depending on, is it on the phone, on Zoom, or in person, is prepping your day before the interview and also like what you're gonna wear. So have a couple different outfits, ask some people's opinions, don't just wing it. The more formal, the better. Even if you're thinking I'm gonna dress semi-formal or I'm gonna dress business casual, if you are more dressed up, it will never hurt you, but if you are underdressed, it will be obvious. If you have a suit, wear your suit and just show out. And even if it is a phone interview, get dressed, get presentable, because you will perform better, you will feel your best than if you're sitting in your robe and like just chilling. So actually get yourself ready no matter what. And if I have a phone interview, say at noon, don't let yourself freak out all morning. Have a little bit of things in the morning to preoccupy yourself, but then about the hour before the interview, maybe 30 minutes, give yourself time to practice your answers, look over the website again, look over the job posting again, and just be ready and refreshed on what you're gonna say. So that is how I prepare for an interview and prepare to kill it and secure that bag. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe if you aren't already and like this video if you liked it. I really appreciate it. It helps me out a lot. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or follow any of my other social medias below. And I will see you guys next time. Bye!